Hello everybody, my name is Christian Swenson. I do videos here on YouTube about autism, autistic consciousness, and life on the autism spectrum. Today I wanted to do a video about autism, art, and emotion. Now why these three things? What do they have to do with each other? Autism and emotion maybe, but where does art fit into it? Well, high-functioning autistic people especially can have a hard time connecting with their feelings, can have a hard time expressing their feelings, have a hard time even feeling their feelings sometimes. But paradoxically, one thing I've noticed, especially in my own life, but also in the lives of others that I'll quote to you, autistic people with this kind of situation can feel their feelings much more easily through the lens of art. For instance, 15 years ago, at the death of my grandma at her funeral, I didn't cry. I didn't cry once for her, even though I was sad, and I felt guilty for that, especially because I know I'm a big crybaby when it comes to art, music, literature, video games, all of these things. They make me cry like a baby, and it made me realize that, is there something wrong with me? Well, no. No, actually, no. The reason why, I would wager, is because at a funeral, you don't really register everything happening all at once. There's this feeling like a fragmentation of experience. You don't really recognize the narrative and the significance of what's happening like you do in a movie or a piece of music. It's all there, all self-contained, but at a funeral you're like, what's going on? You know, it's like, you may know who they are, but it's kind of hard to piece it all together in the same way that like a musical piece is pieced all together. And I don't think there's reason to feel guilty about that. I really don't. I think often we can use art or music or literature as autistic people as a way to process and feel the feelings we aren't able or willing to feel elsewhere. It's kind of like a mirror by which we can acknowledge and feel our feelings even if we don't recognize them in the moment otherwise. Now let me give some examples of people, other autistic people who have this experience. One of them, it's actually from a novel. It's called The Bride Test. It's about It's about an autistic man in a romance it's a romance novel with an immigrant, Vietnamese immigrant. And here's the very first few lines where it actually talks about this. It says, Kai was supposed to be crying. He knew he was supposed to be crying. Everyone else was, but his eyes were dry. If they stung, it was due to the heavy incense fogging the funeral parlor's reception room. Was he sad? He thought he was sad, but he should be sadder. When your best friend died like this, you were supposed to be destroyed. If this were a Vietnamese opera, his tears would be forming rivers and drowning everyone. So if you're watching an opera, he can cry, but not at a funeral. I think, like I said, the reason why is that there's more of a connect with what's happening, the significance of what's happening, and the feelings and the scent and the sights and the sounds of what's happening in an opera than there is at a funeral where you kind of have to piece everything together. It's also more detached at a funeral. You have more time, I mean, not at a funeral, at an opera, because you have more time and space to process what's happening when you're expected to be there and be part of it at a funeral. Here's another example from a book. It's quoting another book, but it's from Autism and Spirituality, a book by Olga Bogdashina, who I quoted last time. This is what she said. This is what the quote says, excuse me. It's from a book called Discovering My Autism, Apologia Pro Vita Sua, with apologies to Cardinal Newman. That's actually the name of the book. You can look it up. It's hard to find, but I've read it before. This is it. So it says, never in my life have I felt grief or even a sense of loss. He's disconnected from his emotions. Any sorrow I felt was purely intellectual. And this is what he says. The irony of this is that I can get all weepy at the tearjerker endings of operas, such as La Traviata, La Bohème, or Madame a Butterfly, or novels such as Dracula. So again, here with operas again, some autistic person isn't able to feel feelings in the moment, but in the opera seat, they can. You know, when I listen to the soundtrack for the video game Journey, there's no stopping the waterworks. When I watch certain scenes like the Shepherd's Boy soundtrack for Doctor Who, if you know what that is, you know, lots of things really connect with me and connect me to my emotions, but that doesn't always happen in real life. And I think it would be useful to start to see the ways we use media to feel emotion as reflective of the emotions we can't or won't feel in our everyday life. Maybe ask yourself this question. If I cry a lot at this piece of media, where are those emotions coming from? What do those emotions say about my life outside of the art? But I think it's also worth noting that this means we as autistic people are very connected to the significance and the meanings of art in maybe ways other people aren't. And that's a good thing. So I think that's that. My name is Christian Swenson. I do videos here every Tuesday and every Saturday. And I'll see you on Saturday. Take care.